Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you're watching the Mojo Story. The J&K Delimitation Commission has proposed to increase the assembly seats for Jammu and Kashmir. Six more seats are to be added to the Jammu region and one for the Kashmir Valley. Now, nine seats have been proposed for scheduled tribes and seven for the scheduled castes. Now, this has generated a lot of political debate in Kashmir. Kashmir centric political parties are aggrieved over the draft recommendations of the Delimitation Commission. They've said that the report is unacceptable. Parties across the political spectrum, the National Conference, the PDP, the APNI Party, and the People's Conference. Uh, Today, there was actually a press conference in Jammu after the meeting of the People's Alliance for Gupta Declaration leaders. In the press conference, it was said that the People's Alliance for Gupta Declaration will hold a protest demonstration in Srinagar on the 1st of January. They say that the census, population census of 2011 should be the baseline for any redrawing of the constituencies or adding the constituencies to Jammu and Kashmir. To talk more on this, we joined by an eminent panel. We're joined by Najmu Saqib, who is the representative of the PDP. We're also joined by Imran Nabi Dar, the spokesperson of the National Conference. Khalid Shah joins us. He's a political analyst, and in the course of time, we hope to be joined by a BJP spokesperson, Arun Gupta. In fact, he's just joining us. Welcome all to the show. Let me start with you, Najmu Saqib. Why is PDP and parties which are Kashmir centric so aggrieved with the recommendation of the
of the
Delimitation
Delimitation
Commission?
Commission.
As we have said from day one, that this whole setup of delimitation commission. It does not look like an autonomous body. It is but an organ of BJP. I think what BJP has realized and realized post August 5 is that people of Jammu and Kashmir, have not taken, in good spirit what they have done on August 5. You see disempowerment, economic disempowerment in Kashmir. Now they want to go for political disempowerment of Kashmir, economic disempowerment in Jammu and political disempowerment of Kashmir. So basically, the whole idea is to rig the rules of the game so that they have an assembly, they have their own assembly, and put a stamp. So that they can approach the Supreme Court and say, look, we have the constitutional validity of what happened on August 5. Having said that, who we have to look at it in a holistic view. What BJP has all along done is pit Jammu versus Kashmir. This narrative of all along that Jammu has been disempowered or Jammu has been, has been neglected at the cost of Kashmir. That narrative they want to set again. That divisive political argumentation that is happening. What we see from BJP, the statements that are coming from them, that this is, about the empowerment of Jammu. While we have to look at in terms of numbers, the sheer numbers are in favor of. If you look at 2011 census, even Kashmir was underrepresented even in the last census that happened. 56% of the population had only 55% of the representation in the assembly, and I think it was 32% of the population had 33% representation in the assembly. So I think the whole idea of Jammu is neglected at the cost of Kashmir. I think they want to go with that into the election. So I think this is just before election the campaign that they have started of pitting Hindus versus Muslims and Jammu versus Kashmir. And I think they have already done it in, if you see, look at it in Pir Panjal region, where they have started the narrative of Padis versus Gujars, and by picking up this bogey of giving political representation to the Padis as well. So all along what we see is that BJP has failed, miserably failed, in convincing the people of Jammu and Kashmir that August 5 move, abrogation of 370 and 35A, was for their benefit. Because what people in Jammu see, their economy has been destroyed, their jobs have been taken away. Same thing is happening in Kashmir. Security situation has deteriorating every day. Even you see capital city of Srinagar. I mean, you saw government officials are on record saying that Srinagar is the most safest city earlier. And now look at the number of incidents that are happening in Srinagar. But we saw what happened in Punch. So everywhere there is complete chaos. So they want to shift attention from all those. You see the power crisis. Jammu and Kashmir is reeling under a total blackouts. There are 21,000 people who were on the
But
roads demanding just their jobs. So they want to take
Najmu
this
Saqib,
hijack back narrative
Najmu
of
Saqib,
secularism, giving you
how do you assume that this move is going to help the BJP? There are no voices
I
of
think
opposition from
I think
Jammu.
that is what
In
their
fact,
intention is, because they want
I
political
saw
impact.
by from the Panthers party. They were saying that in fact they want more seats for Jammu. How do you assume it's going to help the BJP as we don't see any voices of opposition coming from Jammu?
Well, I think that is what they assume. They assume a very forceful, vociferous reaction from to the people of Jammu, saying, "Look, we have increased your seats, and people of Kashmir have vociferously, sort of started speaking against, when we are giving rights to you." So that is what they want to do. This is not about political empowerment of Jammu. This is absolutely not, because in any way, which way, the state has been downgraded to UT. Look what has been done to us. If they were serious about empowerment of Jammu, they could have at least given state. They could have at least, not. They have sold out the resources of Jammu. The Jammu
Okay.
business people, from excise policy, from letting
I
Reliance
I
Reliance
have
stores to come to Jammu.
I have to go to Khalid now. Khalid, this wedge created between Jammu and the Kashmir Valley, that's what Kashmir-centric parties are saying. Do you think it's a continuation of a process? The practice of Darbar has ended, and now we're seeing clearly Kashmir-based parties coming together on this issue at least, and we don't see any voices coming from Jammu. Even the Congress is mute on this.
Well, I think perhaps the political parties have been misreading the situation. There is a
Yeah,
lot of anticipation for election. There is a lot of anticipation that there will be electoral politics and restoration of that. And that
yeah,
seems to be the only goal of political parties right now. They
yeah,
fail to understand that it is a demolition drive which started on August 5th, and that demolition drive continues. Whether
yeah.
it is delimitation, whether it is something else, today an order came that perhaps JKPS, Forest Service, and some other services will be conjoined into one. What is it? It is a demolition drive to dismantle every structure of power that people of Kashmir have. But unfortunately, our political parties have forgotten the art of political mobilizations. Barring a tweet or a statement and a theatrical outburst, there's hardly any effort being done to mobilize people, mobilize public opinion in a way that this demolition drive stops. What is really happening is that every party, every political player is looking at his own front porch. As we say in Kashmir, panin kansar bachao. And they're there to save their own front porch, and they don't realize what is being done, the systematic and structural changes that are happening. Every party has a promise that they will bring back 370, they will bring back the rights and dignity of Kashmir. While they're making these rhetorical statements, more and more is being taken away.
Yes.
And if you look at it, just a few months back, there was this huge excitement that the prime minister has called, and today PAGD is still talking about Dil ki duri, Dilli se duri, and that nonsensical slogan that came out of that meeting. I mean, come on, for God's sake, wake up. It's not an issue of elections. It's not an issue of who's going to be the next chief minister. It's an issue of existence of people, and every structure of power that you had, be it the journalism, be it the civil society, be it politics, be it economics, you're facing an affront on all sides. And what are the political parties doing? They're issuing statements, sitting in the comforts of their office. They need to learn the art of mobilization from the farmers, from the NTCA and NTNRC protests. What are
Right.
they scared of? If they
Well,
can't
well, that
deliver,
is that is
if
the
they can't
question
deliver,
we
they should step back.
that
They
is the
should step
question we
back.
can ask. We can ask Imran. Demolition drive, Khalid says. And what are you scared of? I remember when there was this first sort of a press conference by the People's Alliance for Good Card Declaration in Srinagar at the residence of Dr. Farooq Abdullah. A lot of things were said. It was in said that the representatives of the People's Alliance for Good Card Declaration will reach out to the civil society in the country to the people across the board and try and explain them their position. It was also said that they will come out with a document, as I remember, but nothing of that sort happened. Barring a few public meetings, nothing has been done to mobilize public opinion. Imran?
As far as this question regarding PAGD, I think it is better that you could have pointed this question to a PAGD spokesperson. I will speak for National
Yeah,
Conference
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So, as far as National Conference is concerned, National Conference has not been confined to chairs. National Conference is out among people, and the time will, the time will realize. Everybody will come to know in National Conference what sort of agenda, what sort of action, what sort of the roadmap that we have to carry forward to in addressing in as Khalid rightly said, this the demolition drive which is being carried out, how we should do it. I would, it would be great to have everybody, at the end of the day, it should not be looked as that this will affect only political parties. It affects everyone. It affects you as a common citizen, it affects me as a common citizen, it affects our future generations. The point is, right now, this delimitation process, the draft that was issued yesterday, I mean, it is criminal, it is unconstitutional in the sense that they have disenfranchised 10.5 lakh people. 10.5 lakh, they are not giving any representations to them. Tomorrow, what will happen to them? There will be no social security schemes available to them. Tomorrow, they can very well say that these 10.5 lakh people are not citizens of J&K. They can very well throw them in concentration camp. You never know, because it is one aspect we are looking at. There tomorrow there can be other aspects also. So PAGD, as has been the basic principle of formation of PAGD, was not about political parties. It has to have a passing view. People need to come forward. People need to come forward and they need to be part of a common platform. We, Dr. Saab, Mehbooba ji, they are trying their level best every day. We are, the front that they have taken up, it has ruffled too many feathers. All of us know how New Delhi has tried to dismember it. There was a people's conference was initially a part of it. Even they had written a beautiful. I still remember that letter, which was written by People's Conference chairperson about thanking Dr. Farooq Gupta and other members and appreciating their work. Suddenly now they are coming guns blazing and blaming PhD for every mess. So this way we cannot help each other. The point is that if we point fingers at this point of time at each other, it is going to create, our enemies will use it. That is what they are expecting us to do. They want us to fight among ourselves. But we are at a moment where we all need to sit together. We need to put in our resources together, rather than pointing fingers at each other. We need to augment the efforts that are there, that can prevent us from this demolition drive, from this the way they have sort of overwhelmed Kashmir. They have sort of overwhelmed the Muslim majority here. I mean, that is something that we need to protect. We are not asking anything out of favor. We are just saying, यार हमारा एक character है. This state used to be a Muslim majority state, for God's sake. I mean, जो 2011 का census है, the 2011 census, if they would have gone by 2011 census, the number of seats that would have been shared between the two regions, Jammu would have gotten 39 seats, and Kashmir was somewhere around 51 seats. So this is as per the data available, as per the census figures available with us. So
Imran, at this issue, at least there is consensus between the Kashmir-centric parties. The People's Conference and the APNI party have also said that this is unacceptable. But I will take you back 6 months. 6 months ago, National Conference said that they won't take part in the meetings of the Delimitation Commission, as it will be tantamount. It will tantamount to accepting the decision of the move of August 5, 2019. 6 months down the line, Farooq Abdullah and two more representatives of National Conference take part in the meeting of the Delimitation Commission. What changed all this time? Why this change of heart? People have a right to ask.
See, first of all, there was no change of heart. There is no U-turn. It is not only National Conference which put forward its point of view in front of the commission. The commission came here. All political parties, local political parties, met the commission here. They forwarded their whatever these parties had their line of thought. They forwarded them. And as far as National Conference is concerned, we are not endorsing their stand. What we said at that time, we continue to say it right now also. This commission has, it is constitutionally suspect. The its parent act, the J&K Reorganization Act, is under judicial scrutiny. Uh, that is the idea, the basis that we had made when we decided not to be part of the commission was actually the judicial scrutiny of its parent act. But as is happening across the country, this government doesn't believe in law, this government doesn't believe in logic. So we had no other option but to put forward and reiterate our stand, which is that National Conference will not accept any process which is not bound by law. We have made it absolutely clear. If you want to delimit constituencies, and like you are doing everywhere else in the country, based on population, we have made it absolutely clear. And yesterday also, our MPs made it absolutely clear to them that the delimitation of constituencies should happen based on population. और जो हमें हमारे पास इस टाइम पे the census है 2011 2011 census, they have to do it according to that. But clearly it seems that they have not done it that way. It is not based on the data, it is not based on a scientific approach.
I get the point. I get the point. I get the point. In fact, Justice Hasnain Masoodi said in the press conference today that this issue was raised yesterday when the representatives of National Conference met with the Commission. And then after they raised it, then they were given 10 days of time to put in their suggestions after they raised this issue. But before I go to Khalid and Najmu Saqib, I want to play out that soundbite of Yusuf Taragami uh, after after today's meeting about their next course of action.
और इसी वजह से हमारा ये मुत्तफ़िका फ़ैसला है कि हम श्रीनगर में 1 जनवरी 11 बजे एक एहतजाज पुरअमन पीसफुल डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन प्रोटेस्ट against the proposals put forward by Delimitation Commission, which in our view is unacceptable to all of us, all the people, all the communities, and as far as we are concerned, we are firmly of this opinion that it is divisive.
It is divisive. Khalid, do you think that they say that they don't accept it? Will it change anything on the ground?
Well,
Or
as
they
I
say
said,
that they'll come out with a protest demonstration? Do you think it's too little too late now?
well, we'll see the seriousness of that when we come to that date. But
Yeah.
you asked about PAGD to the National Conference spokesperson, and he ducked the question. And this is what National Conference leaders do quite often. Any PAGD question goes to Farooq Saab, but the party as a whole will not comment on it. I don't understand this, Jekyll and Hyde kind of a scenario. You're either a part or not a part. And as a party, you can give your representation and echo what the spokesperson had to say. And talking about unity, I mean, I don't want to kind of do nitpicking here, but it was Umar Saab who first launched an attack on late Mufti Muhammad Saab for doing an alliance with the BJP, and then other leaders of the party came out and started speaking against the PDP. The other important point here is that I believe National Conference is the only party which said that we will not go to the Delimitation Commission and went. PDP said we will not go and maintain that stand and continued on that stand even today. The only party to do a U-turn is National Conference. And as an analyst, I find these, statements a little wishy-washy. You either say that, okay, you did a fault in saying that not going there, and you retract that statement, or you kind of say that we are not going. You maintain that stance. But having said that, coming back, this idea of unity that we need to have a roadmap. You see, PAGD has been meeting for over a year now, near about 2 years. We haven't seen any roadmap coming from them. Today, we have known from the press conference that they're going to do a protest. We don't know to what extent that protest will be successful.
Yeah.
But my main point is again the same. Delimitation is just one of the many aspects of what is being thrown at us, and what is being thrown at us happens every 15 days. An order comes, an executive order comes. There are various structural changes happening which will have a far reaching consequence, and responding to them by statements and condemnations is not enough. Sadly, our political parties have been reduced to what do you call it, statement issuing machines, and they don't do anything beyond that. We saw in at the time of Hyderpora there was some action on the ground, and we saw results of that. It's not as if the government on the other side, or the ruling dispensation is not responsive, or they're not scared of or they don't take the pressure put by political parties into consideration. The fact is that do you have the will to do it? Do you have the spine to do it? Or are you only concerned about the next election? Are you only concerned about who's going to
That
get how many seats? But
that's a
we have
that's a very
seen,
important point.
but
That's
what
a
we
very
have
important
seen
point,
in last
Khalid.
few months is
Yeah.
only about elections. Everyone is saying that I'm not talking about elections. We are not into electoral politics, but सब मिलके उसी इलेक्टोरल पॉलिटिक्स वाली रट में गए, एंड इन दिस प्रोसेस August 5 seems to be more normalized. What do you expect the government do when you're taking everything lying down? There is no dissent. There is no response, a strong response. It doesn't have to be a unified response. Let each party respond in their own way, but at least do something for God's sake. You're doing nothing. You're only giving us statements and slogans and this and that. Where is the roadmap of PAGD, or for that matter of National Conference, or PDP, on how they're going to get back
Yeah.
370 or
Yeah. Na-
other issues? There's
well,
none. There's nothing. And every
Najmu
time a
Saqib.
curveball is thrown at them, they
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
crying and then they go silent again.
Najmu Saqib, where is the roadmap? And as Khalid put it looks like more like an electoral exercise. We're seeing public meetings done by Mehbooba Mufti, by Umar Abdullah, going to places like Pir Panjal and the Chenab Valley. They seem like clearly elections are around the corner. They're just building up to that. But where is the roadmap? If you say that lot has been lost, what is being done to get it back?
For the benefit of your audience, I would like them to everything is democracy, where the whole even the reach outs are planned by the government, where where you want to go, where you can have a press conference, or where the people, where you can sort of speak to them, and what you can speak to them, the limitations, the bindings. So we are operating in a very difficult space. And for last 3 years, the space was completely choked. And now what we see is slowly, this trickle down effect. We are reaching out to people, communicating what has been taken away from them. It's not that we are sitting, lying, we are taking everything lying down. And we have said, say, look, all we can do is we can reach out to people, mobilize them, galvanize them, make them understand, because eventually it's not about one political leader. A political leader can do nothing. It's about the mass public sort of upright, or sort of their opinion, or their sort of mobilization. Is what will force the government to change what we saw happen to farm laws, where people mobilized collectively and in one unison voice said, look, we don't accept it. And that is what I was referring to earlier. What BJP is doing is they were seeing that Jammu and Kashmir are coming on single page, because what had happened in Pir Panjal, what had happened in Chenab, was that there was a significant chunk of population that was saying, look, what happened on August 5, it's not a fait to comply, it's not acceptable to people of Jammu and Kashmir. And slowly and progressively, they had started to speak up and articulate, and we saw a lot of these movements which were very diverse and sort of unorganized, but they had started to speak up in their own language, because it affects people in Chenab in one way, it affects people in Pir Panjal in one way, and it affects people in Jammu in one way, and in Kashmir another way. So all of these voices, these diverse voices, had started to speak up. So these delimitation commissions, the orders, the farmans, the diktats that are coming out every day, is to divide and further sort of sort of fragmentize that voice that was turning into a unison towards what happened on August 5, and they had started to speak up. Because what we saw in Jammu, it was not just Jammu Muslims of Jammu. It was Kashmiri Pandits who vociferously started raising their voices against August 5. It was the business community in Jammu, the journalists. Look, we are operating in a very difficult space. You see what happens to journalists. They are summoned every single day. The day we decided not to go to the delimitation commission, on the very same day enforcement directorate notice was sent to brother of our party chief. So, and these things have been happening all along, but it is not that we are taking things lying down. We have a concerted roadmap, and that roadmap involves people. So for mobilization of people, you need to reach out to them, make them understand it is a long drawn battle. It is not a one day event, because what we see, what we started in August 5, it's not a single day event. It is a process, and our mobilization and our counter strategy is also a long drawn one. And we are continuously working. Look, these delimitation commissions, the orders, the farmans that are coming every day, it is also a tacit acknowledgement from BJP in other ways that things are not well for them, not electorally, not politically, not in terms of public opinion. So I think, even we obviously the PAGD met today. The future course of action has been decided, as you rightly said, that there is a protest that is happening. We are looking at other legal ways as well, as best as we could. But I'll make it public once again. What BJP did on August 5 and what BJP did yesterday, these things are not fait accompli.
Fate comply. That's being very optimistic. But before I go to Imran, let me read out the details. What was the situation before and what is the situation now? In the assembly of the erstwhile J&K state, Jammu had 37 seats, while as the Kashmir Valley had 46 seats. Now, according to the recommendations of the Delimitation Commission, the new assembly will have 90 seats, 47 for the Kashmir division and 43 for Jammu division. Now, the commission has accorded primacy to difficulties caused by shelling and firing along the border from Pakistani side and general difficulties of life due to topography and remoteness. Those are the factors that have been taken into account while giving those recommendations. Imran?
I think Ladakh will have. Sorry. So if this is the criteria which you just enumerated, then Ladakh will probably have the highest number of seats because the LAC border is right at. If you use the same parameter of geography everywhere else, then the next delimitation that is coming, the 2026 delimitation, parliamentary seats जिसमें delimit हो रही हैं, तो they will have to use the same criteria for limiting the constituencies in a similar way across the country. If they go by that logic, then UP will not have the highest number of, should not have the highest number of parliamentary seats. Area wise, in India, Rajasthan has the highest area, biggest area. So Rajasthan will have the highest number, should have the highest number of seats. Why should J&K be an exception? If when they abrogated Article 370 and 35A, the argument that was given was that they want to bring J&K at par with the rest of the country. They forget about being at par with the rest of the country. They demoted us, they degraded us, they divided us. Now they have brought in new set of rules. So if it applies to J&K being a part of this country, tomorrow they will have to use the same parameters for other states as well. It should not be confined to J&K only. Ladakh maybe has an active LAC right now, so they will have to use this kind of an argument. It's a laughable argument what they have put forward about LOC and all. They will have to use same kind of arguments everywhere else in Northeast also. So these arguments are basically meant to justify their wrongdoings. Basically, they know that they are not on strong footing on this. They know that they have no justification. As you clearly said, the erstwhile 1996 delimitation, if they would have gone by that principle, which is being followed across the country, we will be getting 51 seats and Jammu will get 39 seats. What was wrong in that? Why?
Well,
are these things specifically meant for J&K? Is it because that we were the only Muslim majority state? This is the question that we have been telling them, and we have been putting forward, but we are unfortunately we are not getting any answers.
Well, Khalid, the same I wanted to ask you. We lost your line for a while. The Commission has accorded primacy to difficulties caused by shelling and firing along the border, reportedly from Pakistan side, and also general difficulties faced by the people with regard to topography and geography. Do you think it opens the Pandora's box? It's happened for the
Well,
first time,
I
perhaps.
read the statement yesterday, and at some point in the statement, there is a phrase used: public conveniences. And for a moment, I thought it's toilets. I mean, they're talking about the accessibility to toilets. That's how preposterous the statement is and the criteria is. And frankly, sitting in Kashmir, we should be thankful that they haven't used the access to toilets as a criteria to determine the delimitation of the seats. That's how preposterous and laughable this whole exercise has become. And that statement and that explanation itself made me laugh for 10, 15 minutes. But having said that, I mean, the kind of questions Imran Saab is asking, I don't think there should be a question. I mean, the point is that it's already determined that there is a demolition drive against you. It's determined that they're going to teach Kashmiris a lesson, and that is being done. Whatever your criteria, not criteria, it doesn't matter. What it was predestined, it was predetermined. You would be surprised that an official of the government told me exactly the same thing about delimitation in October 2019. 2 years back, I heard the same thing from an official of the government. It was decided long back when August 5 happened. All of this was a part of that. My problem is not about what they're doing, what criteria they're using. This argument does not matter to me. This argument does not matter to people of Kashmir. What matters is that what is our response to it. And people are not going to come on streets and mobilize themselves. The leaders have a
Yeah.
responsibility. The leaders are meant for something. And if you're not doing it, just say to the people that you don't have the spine to do it, that you have cases, that you have baggage, that you have skeletons in your closet, and they can't do it. And people will be fed up of you, of course. Then they will choose new leaders. The problem is about the demolition of the political system. The demolition of political system is happening from Delhi. The demolition of political system is happening from Kashmir as well. The Kashmiri parties are not able to respond in a manner that puts a break to what was started on August 5th. And that's very simple. Uh, every other argument about the criteria, whether population being a criteria, not being, it's all preordained. Whatever is happening now was decided on August 5th, and all of it will come to play. Don't be surprised that anyone will be spared of it. The policy is very clear. We have to
Khalid,
have a response, which I believe we do not have. I mean, enough is enough. I'm very frustrated today because ab kitna sahenge.
the
Usually I'm
response
calm and
the
sober in
response
such
from the
situations.
response from the leadership is the usual press conferences and a set of tweets. Imran, I wanted to ask you one thing that caught my attention yesterday. After the meeting was over, Jatinder Singh, who is an MP from Udhampur constituency, also a minister at the center, said that the national conference members were also satisfied with the parameters followed by the commission.
It was a lie. It was a brazen lie, and we clarified it. And Masoodi Saab, Hassan Masoodi Saab, immediately gave a press briefing also in Delhi. Also, he clarified it. And besides, he has no business to talk for national conference. So I don't know why he made this. I think you need to ask him about this. But what Khalid is saying regarding roadmap, the roadmap is there. The roadmap has always been there. The roadmap has been laid out to us. If you have not seen the roadmap, then I don't know what can we do. The roadmap is that there is right now a legal route available to us, and we as a responsible party have filed the PI. What else do you expect? Do you want us to come on roads, throw stones? Do you want us to pick guns? Do you want that? Are you asking us to throw stones on roads? That is what you are asking us to do. The roadmap has been there. What I'm saying is that it is. Let us not, since that you have you are in you know each and everything. You knew what was coming 2 years ago. So I don't know. You just said it that you knew the steps that are being taken right now. 2 years ago somebody has told you, so you would know everything. Then there is no point. If you know everything, then tell us what will happen after 2 years. If you are so sure about things, then please tell us what will happen.
We would like to have a quick response from Khalid on the roadmap point that you that you raised.
Zafar Saab, nobody is going to ask political parties to pick up the gun and throw stones. There is something called peaceful mobilization, peaceful protest. Across the country, it has happened. It was done in America. It was done in India. It is being done in every part of the world. If you want a case study, just go and study what Nelson Mandela did in South Africa. It's very simple. I mean, it's not something very difficult to predict. And talking about that we filed a PIL, oh, we have done our bit. That's not it. You filed a PIL on J&K Reorganization Act. The court is not listening to it. You have to mobilize the public opinion. You have to tell the court that enough is enough. We want you to hear that. And on what happened on August 5th, you filed that in the court. What is happening post August 5th? What about that? I am not trying to corner the politicians. The thing is that there is no dearth of idea. I started off with the farmers protest. I started off with NTCA and RC protest. Violence is not. I am not someone who advocates violence. I'm surprised at the helplessness of our political class. I'm surprised at the lack of dearth of ideas that our political class
it is basically the expectations of the people that Khalid means are not met by the political parties in Kashmir, except for putting out statements. Not much is being done. That's the point that he wants to say. And of course, you say that you've gone to the court and you don't accept the August 5 move in the first place. So all these steps are unnecessary. You don't take them into account. But things are happening on the ground.
No, who says we have not protested on roads, peaceful protests? We have conducted all the peaceful protests. The PIL, what we are saying about who stops Mr. Khalid or people like him to go to Supreme Court and file a PIL? What have they done for such kind of things? There are n number of political activists across the country. I know that there have been NGOs who have filed a petition in the Supreme Court questioning the abrogation of Article 370. Every right-thinking person will do what is the route available. Currently, the route available is the legal route. That is what we are going to approach. Now, if you want to question it, we have been asking Supreme Court, please. There has been, because of the pandemic, there were no physical hearings going on.
Yeah.
There were no physical. Now we have been our MPs will very soon they will approach the Supreme Court, and we are expecting that the Supreme Court will convene a hearing of all the petitions. It's not only national conference, but all right thinking people will approach judiciary. If we are living in a democratic country, no matter what BJP is doing, but at least there are institutions. हमारे पास इस टाइम पे एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है, वो कोर्ट है. अगर आप कोर्ट को नेगेट करते हैं कि कोर्ट में जाने से क्या होगा, तो फिर आर्गुमेंट का तो कोई बहस होता ही नहीं.
Last word to you, Najmu Saqib.
The whole campaign of disempowerment stems from the democratic or the electoral dispensation, the dispensation that is presently there. The source of their power comes from electoral politics. So the thing that is happening in Jammu and Kashmir right now, and where BJP wants to take us, is that the whole stamp of approval on August 5 that has to come is from the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir. So the whole idea is to somehow chart out this whole territory where they get numbers in their favor, and they put a stamp of approval on what happened on August 5, so that they go to the court, they go to the President of India, say, look, we have the approval, we have the concurrence, and everything is hunky-dory right now. So our focus right now, and that is what rightly should be, is on electoral numbers as well. We should not negate that. Having said that, the public mobilization, as happens anywhere in the democracy. Look, we are not. It's no political party as of now. I would not like to put anyone on the dock and say, look, they are not doing their bit. But I would say all of the political parties are trying their bit. It's a very difficult situation. The onslaught is continuous. there are brute powers that are acting in Jammu and Kashmir, and this whole constitutional the idea of the Constitution of India. I mean, when that is ripped apart, what response can you do? You have politicians who are in jails, you have journalists who are languishing in jails. So it's a very difficult space. I understand that there are a lot of people who want us to act more, and that stems from expectation. So political parties do need to do their bit more. I think we need to up the ante, and that is where we urge the people to come forward, to step up. This voice has to be vociferous. Political parties alone cannot do it. It has to be a mass. Civil society has to come forward. Lawyers have to come forward. Journalists have to come forward. Every section of the society has to come forward and speak in unison and say, look, this campaign of disempowerment has to end. And obviously there are brute forces out there. What more can you expect from them? I mean, I don't know. I mean, one of my party colleagues said that, I don't know, I'm speaking to you. I don't know what will happen to me. Might be they'll throw me in the jail next time. So I think that is the cost that, of speaking up.
There are different viewpoints. There are some assumptions also, but one thing is clear. What has come from the top leadership of the country, that there will be a delimitation process, the delimitation of the assembly segments, then there will be an election, then at an opportune time, the statehood would be restored. I think that much is clear for all political parties to gather and accordingly form their strategies. We end on this note. Thanks to all of you for joining us. That's all we have in today's show. Thanks a lot.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalists.